Yeah, just counting there. All right, folks, we're past that 10-second mark. Hopefully the last little bit won't be cut off too much. Usually YouTube cuts off a tiny bit at the beginning. But I am Nathan P. Butler. This is my YouTube channel. This is a Star Wars Battlefront podcast. Not podcast because it is an MP3 that's showing up in your podcatching software, but podcast in the sense that like a podcast, like I've been doing for 15 years, going on 16 years now in Star Wars podcasting, going all the way back to Chrono Radio. It's more about the conversation. It's more about the commentary. It's more about the conversation with people in the chat. It's more about conversation with guests, if I happen to have one at any given time here with me in the party chat. So much more about that than the game itself or the gameplay, although it gives us something to watch as we're having a conversation or as we are kind of shooting the shit, as they say. Notice there's a spoiler warning down at the bottom. Yes, spoilers for Last Jedi and the game's campaign, including the DLC, are fine. On this YouTube channel, you'll also find things like From the Star Wars Home Video Library, Fantasy Flight Game Star Wars reviews, things like that. Those of you who follow the Patreon have some new content coming your way today. The Nobility of the Butlerverse, the highest Patreon tier, will be getting their exclusive Q&A video this evening for this month. And the collection thread for questions for next month just went up. That's all at patreon.com/NathanPButler. You can find my Star Wars timeline. That is the Star Wars Timeline Gold, the most comprehensive Star Wars chronology available anywhere at StarWarsFanWorks.com/timeline. You can find the two podcasts I'm involved with, Star Wars Beyond the Films with Mark Hurleman and Cloud City Casino with Michael Morris, both on StarWarsReport.com. And you can find my book, A Saga on Home Video, A Fan's Guide to U.S. Star Wars Home Video Releases, on Amazon. Spiel over. Let's see what's going on here. So, just jumping in, again, as I said yesterday, my energy for getting back into and playing the game is very low, it seems like, right now. I really kind of wish they had taken the Season of the Last Jedi stuff and spaced it out more, rather than it just being the challenges that are spaced out. We'll go ahead and knock out the daily login crate, which I could have sworn I already got earlier today, but hey, sure, why not? And in the process of that, maybe get enough to open a Starfighter crate and then see what the challenges look like for the day. I want to say I think there's 2 long-term for me to do and 1 short-term. So there we go, but that duplicate... And I really wish the duplicates did what they said they were going to do originally, which is give you crafting parts, not credits, or just could not happen at all, or did like I believe it did in the beta, where if you get a duplicate, it gives you the next highest rank of that card. But no, it just gives us 200 credits at this point. But thankfully, that put me over the top to be able to go ahead and get a new Starfighter crate. Here's hoping for blue! Blue! Nope, nope. But 5 and a green, so that's not as bad as it could have been. Duplicate. Something actually new that I probably won't use much. Duplicate. Crafting parts and duplicate again. Yes, that's right. 2,400 credits spent to basically get back 800 and 1 common card that I could have bought for 40 crafting parts and 35 crafting parts there. That was money well spent. Perhaps if you're spending money for the U.S. government instead of yourself. And then here are our challenges that are still going. I've knocked out these 3, so no need to focus back on them again. But for those who are curious about them, we have Hit Them With Everything You've Got, which was earning 25,000 battle points no matter what mode you're in. Except for, well, no matter what multiplayer mode you're in. We have Ambush, defeat 20 enemies with each Starfighter class. So 60 total, which gets that Starfighter booster crate, reinforcement booster crate for the other one. We have Blast Them All, which is taking out 200 enemies, 50 with each trooper class. That gives you a trooper reward crate. Those are done. Those are longer term. We have 2 current longer term ones going right now. Never Tell Me the Odds, which is just to defeat 150 enemy soldiers. Bear in mind that that does mean it's got to be in something other than Starfighter Assault, because Starfighter Assault does not count as soldiers. And then we have the new ones just put up today. We have Watch Your Back, which is complete 5 rounds of Strike, which I almost never play. And then we have Don't Get Too Cocky. Not Don't Get Cocky, but Don't Get Too Cocky. So it's fine to be a little bit cocky, but don't be a dick about it, basically. And that one is Win 10 rounds of Strike. So play 5 sometime before the timer runs out, about 24 hours from now, just about. So the reset must have been right at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern. And then win 10 rounds of Strike total, whether from that 5 or otherwise. So it looks like we're going to be doing some Strike this time, which is unusual. Let's see if I have any trooper stuff that I can knock out here while doing so. Assault kills need 40. I might as well do assault. I wasn't playing as assault much. Assault, heavy, officer, specialist. Yeah, I guess I'll stick to assault kills to start with because that'll be the fastest. And then I guess I'll switch over to heavy and go with the FWMB 10K, which is what I usually use to get that ion shot, as if I'm ever really going to use it. The milestones are great to start with because it gives you things to try to do, but then you get to the point where the milestones are all either tough to do, require heroes, or take a long time. And the momentum that you feel of blazing your way through those milestones just comes to a dead stop. But let's go through Strike. I've barely played Strike at all since the game came out, so let's dive into that. It does say rounds of Strike. And Strike tends to be a sort of a best, 2 out of 3 or whatever type of thing. Or best 3 out of 5 type of thing. First one to get to 2, whatever. It's based on playing a scenario multiple times and winning a certain number of times. So I'm wondering if each of those is going to count as a round towards that total, or if we're talking about playing a full run-through. Not that it really matters that much, because it's not like I'll be able to see my progress on the end of match screen anyway, because the Last Jedi challenges do not update correctly at the end of a match. They show you your stat before that match, not after the match, as they have for a while now. So Endor, which is basically just a smaller map variant of the type of map that we get, that we've seen tons of times in Galactic Assault. This does, by the way, for those who haven't actually played Strike yet, it plays a lot more like the Scarif map did back in Battlefront 1, where a lot of times you're going to wind up with something you're supposed to grab and take somewhere, and whatever you're grabbing and taking, if it drops and it stays sitting there for too long, it'll revert back to where it started. That's very much the way that it worked with the Death Star plans for the Scarif map scenario back on Battlefront 1. Which I finally removed from the hard drive, by the way. Much as I love the VR scenario on that, there's only so many times you can play it before it gets really, really old. And there are other games that you can play to get that flying combat feeling. Like, say, Eve Valkyrie Warzone, if you're into PSVR. Hello, JL. Welcome, welcome. Go, go, go! It's Cobra! Sorry. Every time I think go, 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 I'm thinking of it in the voice of, I think it's Cross Country off of G.I. Joe the movie. Which is, of course, followed by, it's Cobra! Cool. We actually just, last night I got our economics class finished and ready to go, so when the time comes for our new courses to start on Monday for our students, we'll finally, that was good, we'll finally have some choices for them instead of them being stuck with only one option for every project that they do. Okay, go, go, go again. What in the... Okay, so that's your extraction point to defend later. But you gotta get the... You gotta stop them from getting the thingy and getting to the extraction point first. Interesting that I'm starting at the extraction point. So it's like, we spotted their ship. We just landed by their ship and there's nobody there, so there must be people inside. Okay, let's go check inside, as opposed to going immediately inside. This, by the way, is that night vision thing for the CR2 that's turning it blue. Speaking of lightning strikes. Grenade ready. Come on. Jeez. I feel like I'm not getting much at all out of my CR2 fire for some reason. Fill her up. There you go. Now he's healthy again. And then sometimes, for some reason, I'll look inside a place and the night vision stops working. I have no idea why. Like, you notice that night vision isn't working right now? It's not lighting them all up based on the body heat like it's supposed to. Whereas it was just a second ago. Makes me wonder if it has something to do with the scan. Yep. It almost has to be scan dart, because watch. I can see him this way. I pull out scan dart and fire it. I go back in. Oh, nope, now they're working. What the hell? Or maybe it's when scan dart ends and is refreshing, possibly? Those dots, those little boxes, the unfilled rectangles up there by the 31, by the way, those are the indicators of whether that round has been won by a given side. And you have to get best 2 out of 3, basically, in this case. So that 29 only refers to this round. There we go.
Grenade out! Move on that one.
Come on, stick your head back out here. Come on, stick your head back out. You know you wanna.
Swapping weapons, starting sweep.
Oh, there's a guy there. Oh, I bet he's got a shield, so I was gonna have to shoot his feet, and that wasn't gonna happen.
I'm ready to go.
I'm ready to go. Hey, there's somebody else who's ready to go. We all ready to go? All right. And you can see the progress of them moving the balls, so to speak, underneath the 24 up there. So. No, I would figure they'd probably wait and do that on another anniversary, more than likely. That'd be cool, but I don't know if they'd actually do it prior to an anniversary. They tended to focus on anniversary releases in the recent past. 25th and 30th, I believe, was their most recent big home video releases. Defend the access codes. See, there they are right there. So we're defending the access codes at the moment. Or, you know, getting shot while killing the access codes and trying to show you the access codes. So now they've snatched the package, and they need to make it to the extraction point. And we need to defend it to kill them. Shit, that turret was going to take me out. Oh, no, turret just weakened me. The blurg took me out. His pistol. Where's a damn door? The hell you gonna spawn us? For the frickin' shovel wagon. Something's gonna blow.
Watch for shrapnel.
Watch for shrapnel? The Insecticon is here somewhere? And the rebels got it. So that ends the round. So in theory, that's one round played, right? So of the daily challenge, that should be 1 done, 4 to go. Assuming when it says round, it actually means round and not game or match.
Let's fight the rebels.
Yay, let's do the exact same thing over again. Whee! Part of the reason why I don't play Strike. Because it's not a one and done scenario. It's always play multiple times, win multiple times to win. Granted, they're shorter scenarios, but it gets really dull really fast. At least in Galactic Assault, even though they're longer matches, you're switching sides on the same map every other match. Although that brings up the whole issue of how they haven't really fixed their matchmaking system, so that if you have a really unmatched pair of teams, those same teams will still wind up being the ones that are playing against each other. Shit.
Squad, go.
Come on up. Ah, shit. Came from behind. They came from behind.
On some rebels.
A blizzard? Good lord. No blizzard warning for us. It's just freaking cold. I've been carrying a... Well, not, yeah, actually, we've got a portable space heater right next to me here that I've been sort of lugging back and forth to wherever I am. Shit, she's gonna smoke me because I'm not gonna be able to get a good bead on her until... Oh, no! Thermal detonator actually worked. Defend those access codes. Come and get them, you rebel swine. But yeah, so I've been lugging that around from room to room, and usually we just have it set up in you know, wherever I happen to be the most during the day, I'll leave it set up. But this time it's set up in such a way that basically I unplug it and take it to the next room. Oh, I'm going to be in another room for like 10 minutes, unplug and take it with me. Unplug and take it with me every single time. But it's just cold. Like, it was so cold, I'm kind of surprised the balls were able to drop on New Year's, if you know what I'm saying. Let's see if anybody's around somewhere. Let's fire off a scan dart. Nope, not over there. Hey, Vita. What do I think about the new Legion game for Fantasy Flight and Imperial Assault Surprise? I don't know. The thing about... Okay, so Legion looks interesting. I've got all the stuff from Legion pre-ordered. Again, Viva La Patreon. That's part of why I have the Patreon at all, in order to defray the costs of that sort of thing. The home video stuff, all the stuff I do that is part of the things covered for the channel that just suck up the budget each month. I've got them pre-ordered. It's interesting. It definitely is going to play somewhat differently than Imperial Assault. I think it plays more like a traditional... miniatures ground combat game than Imperial Assault does, but I wonder if it's too little, too late. Like, do people have so much already invested? Yeah, see, it didn't count for that one. Do they have so much invested already in Imperial Assault that they'll say screw it and they won't jump into Legion? Legion also has a pretty high entry cost, I would say, because not only is the initial game coming out, they have a ton of expensive expansions right out the gate. So it's going to make anyone who wants to jump in and play seriously early on have to spend a hell of a lot of money up front. So I think it's less a matter of can Imperial Assault survive and more can Legion find its own niche in the way that Armada never really has, and has therefore been always in the shadow of X-Wing. I would be very surprised if Legion overshadows Imperial Assault at this point. If they were released at the same time, I think Legion probably would have run out. I'm just not sure that would be the case now anymore. But we'll see. I mean, I'm going to have both of them here. Not that I tend to play either of them very much. They tend to be more of the collecting and the reviewing than it is the playing most of the time. Have I played Star Trek Timelines at all? No, I have not. I've seen it a couple times, but I haven't ever jumped into it. Only app-based games that I've really messed around with anytime in the recent past have been Legendary DXP, which is based on the Legendary card game that I really enjoy, and The Room 1 through 3. Working on Room 3 now. Alright. And yeah, that's it. Like the 40K type gameplay seems like what Legion is more like than Imperial Assault. And I think that's probably going to be the big draw, is it plays a lot like Warhammer stuff. Have I gotten the reissue Back to the Future without the flux capacitor? No, because I don't collect those. I just get the set that has everything I want in it, and that's it. And I only upgrade whenever there's something new. Like if they did a 4K set that had everything that one had in it, then I'd probably... Or if they had a Blu-ray set that had the movies and the TV show in Blu-ray instead of the movies on Blu-ray and the TV show in DVD only, which is what they've got now, then I probably would. But otherwise, no. Oh! And shot and killed by an RG-4D. Okay. Okay. Let's see. If there's not having cell phone, so the cell phone thing in classrooms is kind of a big thing. We were just starting to sort of see changes in that in the school system, in the school where I used to teach before I stuck with the same school system but started to do the online stuff. We started to see a slow change in that around the time that I switched to the online program, because there's a significant difference between just having it on versus using it for an educational purpose. And there are a lot of schools have trouble drawing a line between those two things, or being able to keep students focused on the school purpose rather than just screwing around on the phone doing something other than the school purpose. So the tradition has been that the policy is simply a no devices policy. that becomes very difficult to enforce. It becomes something that is somewhat counterproductive whenever it starts to be used for educational purposes, where you start having to blur that line and so forth. So you wind up with kind of a mess of issues all kind of happening at the same time. I mean, I can see why they would want to keep them out of the classroom at certain times. And usually what happens that I've seen as the solution is that it's like there's a designated time with and without devices is what you usually see. But if there's an emergency, that would be an instance of going and speaking to the teacher and saying, hey, you know, I've got an emergency, I need to contact so-and-so. And you would be able to generally, I usually see teachers willing to either let you do that or let you go to the office and do that or something like that, as opposed to it being simply a blanket, no devices ever, 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 ever kind of policy. Most of the time. Yes, I did as well, Nathan. Very cool. Yeah, I only knew about it because of a post made by, it was either Eddie Vanderheiden on his upcoming page, or it was by Carlos on his Star Wars Books and Comics page, or Star Wars Comics page. But yeah, mine actually came in too. I was kind of surprised. It's a lot thicker than I thought. It's 3 different pieces, which makes me think it might be serialized in some future trio of issues as opposed to being always exclusive in that form. But I bet you that's probably the only way you're ever going to be able to get it all together in one place, outside of if it's later serialized and winds up in a trade paperback, just because of the issues that happen to be in that trade paperback. So, we'll see. And again, that is Daniel making the same comment as last time. I'm not sure. You're going to have to specify which Bob and what is a Vagina. So I'm assuming Vagina must be somebody's name, because it's certainly not vagina, because that's not how vagina has ever been spelled. It could be that you want scenic pictures of Virginia, and it's just being misspelled, in which case maybe some people who have traveled there could perhaps provide some pictures. But I would need to know which Bob. And we're talking Bob Saget, Bob Hope, or is the fact that it says Bob's actually mean you want plural? So Bob Habit, it would have to be like a picture of Bob Saget and Bob Hope in the same picture in order to be valid to be a picture that is provided. I don't know. I don't think I know very many people actually named Bob except for Bobby Craig, and I would have to find somebody else named Bob in order to get a picture of Bobby with someone named Bob to be able to send a pic of Bob's. So, or maybe it's just a matter of I wonder if I can get a picture of Bobby Craig, perhaps with the final planet in the movie Titan AE, which is also known as Planet Bob, in which case there would be plural Bobs, and there'd be able to be Bob's pics. Or would it have to be Bob with someone named Vagina, who, you know, probably doesn't exist?
Charges defused at Alpha.
Interesting. Nice. How much did you wind up getting it for, Nathan? If you know the what the American dollar equivalent would be. I want to say mine was 20, 25-ish.
Those blasted droids got both.
Nice. Very nice. All right, we got defeat. I'm now jumping over here and grabbing my computer so that I can pull up the stream page. Pulling up me. Pulling up stream page. Pausing the stream because I don't need that. Going to find our Bob pick person and taking care of that. Okay, because Bob, I would like Bob and Vagina picks also popped up on the last stream that we did, and as I say, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, go fuck yourself. I mean, fool me twice, you're blocked because you're being a dumbass. And yes, I like. It's always interesting to see kind of the weird things that are put into the yearbook pictures. I find like the quotes with seniors. So a lot of times you'll have like 2 people who are next to each other who have a quote that is meant to continue on if they know for sure they're going to be next to each other. I always found that interesting. Why is this thing not rocking the way that it should? Something is up with my chair. Oh well. Screw it. Screw it. Oh, that's not bad at all. Yeah, 22 bucks is about what I paid for it, something around there. Didn't wind up costing all that much. Certainly not as much as, you know, subscribing to Loot Crate for a period of time on the off chance that you'd wind up having the comic in it. Actually, I had several things come in the same day. It was, in fact, they're all sitting right here. We had, what all came in the same day? Let's say we had a Barnes & Noble Marvel preview issue from 2016. We had the one from Loot Crate. Force Awakens number 6 that I somehow missed finally showed up, and then Mace Windu Jedi of the Republic number 4 finally showed up, another one that I'd missed. I've been using Things for Another World for the subscription process, but a lot of the mini-series don't wind up on their automated subscription thing, so if you don't manually pre-order them, you are screwed! It's not that I should succeed, others must fail. Well, you know. Gotta defend the star map. And the star map is this little thing there. It's like a data tape. Looks kind of like an old 8-track. Have I read Chewie and the Porgs yet? Yes, and it took me like a minute and a half. That is a ridiculously tiny book at a ridiculously high cost because of it being, you know, all original art and stuff like that. And I find it hilarious that on the page in which it shows the scene at night where he is eating the, or about to eat the cooked porg, they show him from behind so you don't realize that he had actually cooked one of them, and at no point do they mention him having cooked one of them. So, yeah, the Mace Windu comics are pretty bad. Doesn't help they were like, the artist was kind of like, so what does Mace Windu look like? Instead of saying it looks like Samuel L. Jackson, they said, he's just like a generic bald black guy. Awesome, I can do a generic bald black guy. And that seems to be where the art came from, because it looks nothing like Mace. Except for being a bald black guy. Ugh. So I'm like, sniffer, sniffer. This weather is kicking my butt from a standpoint of sinuses. Somebody's got the star map. It says attack, so attack! Wait, now, where am I attacking? Where'd he go? Oh.
The package is on the ground. Protect it.
The package isn't on the ground. The package is right here. Right? Did the person, like, run out of bounds or something? So it automatically threw it back here? Because there's the star map. At least according to this. The thing they're supposed to be running and getting. What? Oh yeah, in Mace Windu. Yeah, Yoda looks like a tumor most of the time. That's true. It's just a bad. The art sucks and the story isn't much better. You know. It's another of those instances, just like the Chewbacca comic, for instance, where I sit back and I'm like, who the hell at Marvel approved this? Who gave the go-ahead for them to make this in the first place? And whoever. What the hell? It's right back there again. And was there no process, you know, throughout the creative process where somebody was looking at it saying, you know, this sucks, go back and do it again or something? Was it just a matter of, well, we have a release date and we asked for the artwork and the artwork turned out to suck, but you know what? Nothing we can do about this artwork that sucks. We're just stuck with it. We're not going to delay it. I don't get this. Defend the star map. I'm right here. It says defend it, but it also says they've almost got it to the end, and it looks like somebody just picked it up. But now it says attack star map. This is screwed up. It should be that the only place that it's giving what it just showed me the entire round should only be hanging over the head of whoever is controlling and running with it. That was giving false information that entire match, as if the star map was right there at that location, which was not true. That's some bullshit!
Got your back. Okay, ready to go.
Bitching about having to watch Revenge of the Sith for work yesterday? Oh? I missed that one. What is that about? Die, Mazo monster! You're a monster! A monster! You're right, I am a monster. Thank God I'm not a monster, I'm just a monster. Uh-oh! As opposed to being a Monstar, which would make you, I guess, the villain from the old Silverhawks TV series. Which I never got to see. I had a bunch of the toys. I never saw the cartoon, which is kind of weird. Why didn't I like Digimon? It's not that I did or didn't like Digimon. I just was not into Digimon. So I didn't care. Chris, hell if I know. I don't really care enough about it. I'm high enough that at this point I can, if I've got the high enough star card rank for an individual class, I can go ahead and break out the epic star card crafting. But beyond that, I haven't really cared to follow the level or the rank, because the rank doesn't mean anything outside of just your epic crafting. Once you get to the point where you got what you need for that, there's really no point in following the ranking anymore. Which is another instance in which, yeah, see, and here it is again. They are running with it right now. And yet, here we are. If you go to the room where they had to get it in the first place, it is still showing as if it is there right then.
The resistance has the package.
Now it says attack. Now it's gone. That was not the case earlier. So now it seems like this time when somebody picked it up, at least it tracked correctly. Nope, it's not, because it's still popping up saying attack over here rather than over the head of the person who's got it. That really is kind of asinine. In fact, it's extremely asinine. Oh!
Resistance has the package.
Wow. Maybe if they actually liked Star Wars more, their Star Wars comics wouldn't usually be freaking garbage. Poe Dameron is all right. Afra's pretty good. The new Darth Vader is a heck of a lot better than the previous Vader. Most of their miniseries have been outright crap.
Resistance troops have the package.
I'm pretty sure whoever wrote the Leia comic, Mark Waid, I believe it was, probably hadn't seen a Star Wars film in years, if ever. And whenever the time came to write it, they were like, so what can you tell me about Leia? Well, she's 19. Okay, that's all I need. I'll just make her a petulant 19-year-old little shit. She doesn't have to be anything like her movie self. I'll just make her a typical 19-year-old who, in IGN at least, would be acting closer to probably about 15 years old. If you're into sociological studies, by the way, and you like the whole generational differences thing, definitely check out the book IGN. I think the lady's last name is Twangy, but I forget how you actually spell it. But it's called IGN, like little I, big G-E-N. And it's about this post-millennial generation. And how they're basically choosing, and their parents are choosing also, for them to sort of grow up more slowly, reach the milestones of adulthood later. Like they're having to be forced by their parents to go get a driver's license at age like 18, whereas in previous generations it was, oh my God, I'm 16, I can't wait to go get my driver's license. I'm gonna go check real quick and see where I stand on those challenges, because I haven't been counting them. But yeah, it makes for an interesting read. But I would certainly fit the mindset of Leia if Leia was an iGener or Generation Y-er. I think iGen is what's catching on as the name. Reylo supporter? Not sure if I'm for a Reylo kind of thing, but for them to be sort of a connected and have the sense of shared destiny is kind of interesting. I like the way they handled it in Last Jedi, but I think that Last Jedi probably put the nail in the coffin of that going much further. Let's see. Yeah, Detours, Leia, exactly. We will probably never see Detours now, unfortunately. Yeah, Rucka's actually been pretty good. Greg Rucka stuff's been pretty good. Come on! Come on! There we go. Alright, so let's see where we are. Hey, it is Russell, Texas Magpies, back. Let's see. So, complete 3 rounds. I know I've completed more than 3 rounds of Strike. So, again, where it says complete 5 rounds of Strike, it's not actually meaning complete 5 rounds of Strike. It's meaning complete 5 games or matches of Strike. because that would explain having 3 instead of 5, because I know I played more than 5 actual rounds of Strike at this point, certainly more than 3. And then win 10 rounds of Strike. It looks like it only counted... Huh? It counted 3 wins. I don't think we had that many wins. Not on matches and not on rounds. Alright, whatever. I guess I will dive back into Strike, though, because those still need to get done. Only for, of course, my faction, which is the Resistance, to wind up losing in the end anyway, because Redditors... Surprise, surprise, surprise! The extreme Redditor community, from which much of the alt-right has sprung, went with the Space Nazis. Who knew? Who could have imagined? They went with the Space Nazis. Golly! Thank you, Texas, Russell. We just recorded, we put up our review of Last Jedi for Star Wars Beyond the Films also over at StarWarsReport.com, so that's up. The video ones on the channel are up, those first impressions. I have not recorded anything about it yet, though, with Michael for Cloud City Casino, because his schedule's still pretty screwy. But hopefully sometime soon. Plus, getting a chance to talk about the Battlefront 2 not campaign, but multiplayer stuff soon, hopefully. How long am I streaming? I don't know. I was planning maybe between an hour and 2 at most, just because I got some other things to do. And I have to go back to work tomorrow. The students don't come back until Monday, but I got to go back and start meetings. And my meetings the next couple of days are... in the Atlanta area, there's a lot of technical terms for the different parts of the metro area. I believe the technical term for where I've got to go tomorrow is way the hell up there. I think is with all caps. But I've got a nice, put it this way, I'm going to have to leave 2 hours before the meeting starts to have any hope of getting there on time through morning traffic. So, fun stuff. But that does mean I need to wrap up and get all of my stuff packed up for tomorrow, my laptop and all that kind of stuff eventually. Let's see. Man.
Stay together.
I think actually it turns out that Michael actually, most of the things that he didn't like about it, turns out that on second viewing were clarified in his mind, or he understood why they did what they did, and he actually doesn't have much negative to say about it anymore, which is kind of surprising. Oh, look, we're back on Jakku with the incredible, what do they call it, quantum entanglement, when you have 2 different things that exist in 2 different places that somehow are linked together. The incredible quantum entangled star map that exists in multiple places at once. Oh, hell no! They coming at us from above, boys! And lady over there. Man, if I was a specialist right now, I'd pop that head like a zit. But unfortunately, I am not. Unfortunately, I am working towards that assault thing. It's funny I say working towards assault. So there's one of the programs that I work with, not my main thing that I work with at work, which is my online teaching thing, but one of the 2 side things that I do for the county, because extra pay is good, is I'm the lead virtual coach, which basically means that I oversee people who then oversee these experienced teachers, who then oversee some online courses to give advice and whatnot and guidance to new teachers. And based on the original scale, they would basically be put into one of 3 different categories. Basically, somebody in their building would go in and do an observation with them and mark down their scores on certain things. And then those teachers would have their scores tallied up and be put into either proficient, intermediate, or foundational levels of these courses, of this training stuff. And the first year that we did it, it turned out that there were a lot of people who didn't even meet the foundational requirement. So new teachers that just, when they were observed, showed none of the skills they were supposed to show. So we had to come up with something beneath it, which our director at the time chose as said should be called Working Toward Foundational. It was only later that we realized the acronym for that, of course, was WTF. Thankfully, nobody got offended, but it did sort of fit, right? If you're a teacher who's actually got a job and you aren't even showing the most basic of skills you're supposed to show in a classroom, WTF kind of describes the reaction that the observer probably had to your teaching style. Shit, I'm not going to be able to get a good enough bead. It spaces out too much. Rey, no, but they tell you how Rey got off Snoke's ship. They don't show you, but they tell you. They say because it's because Kylo says she killed Snoke, and he also says he stole. I think it was him. It's either him or it's Hux, because they're in the same. It's in the same conversation. They say that she stole Hux's personal escape craft, or Snoke's personal escape craft. Gonna have to see that again about the CR thing because I missed the first part of the message. Yeah. Oh! Well, I'll tell you, JL, one of the things that's happening right now, one of the biggest moves going on in education right now is a personalized learning thing, and one of the ways to personalize is pacing. It's just very difficult to implement that in a classroom with a whole bunch of students in it, because it means managing a lot of different students at a lot of different points of the curriculum at the same time, and becomes a difficult thing for the classroom teacher to do. But there are ways to do it. That's what a lot of professional development and stuff is focused on for a lot of parts of, at least in the U.S. right now. It's kind of the new big thing is personalized learning. It's just a question of how do you personalize, and if you personalize, is pacing part of that? I like that Wookiee. You get the sense after Maz made her comment about the Master Codebreaker that when she says she likes that Wookiee, she means she likes that Wookiee. You know what I'm saying?
We're a team.
That she and that's maybe she wants Chewie to kind of put it to her.
The package has been dropped.
Which would be scary as hell. And I missed it again. I think Kashyyyk was the only planet on there that wasn't just... Still didn't see it.
Resistance troops have the package.
Okay. Yeah, Maz is a bit of a freak. I'm trying to not die. I'm trying to like run around and not die while I'm trying to keep up with the chat. Boba Fett, Coruscant, and Lando. Yep, haven't seen any of those. Though Coruscant won't have a lot of relevance anymore in that it's no longer the capital and was as of
we are doing well, but
Aftermath
don't get
books.
overconfident.
Ah, okay. Okay. Kashyyyk was the only planet on there that wasn't just a something on the map. So basically they just made shit up as they went along on that map. Which is interesting because there are a bunch of maps that have been made recently in different books that proclaim to show the galaxy map. I'm waiting for a new Essential Atlas. Maybe they'll invite me in to help on this one too.
Resistance carrier down. Resistance troops have taken the package.
I don't think... See, for me, I'm all about the character development moments, and I don't think that Kylo develops the way that he needs to develop without Han being actually dead. If it's Han faking his death, Kylo was never that bad. You know what I mean? Part of the interesting part of him is sort of the up and down of him trying to be so evil and then wavering, or seeming to waver, when then it turns out that no, he just wanted to be evil in his own way, as we get into Last Jedi. Ah, gotcha. That makes sense. That makes sense. Just random dots.
We can do this.
Well, Mothma is supposed to have been retired, and she may even be dead by then. I think she's just retired by then, but she's not part of it anymore. Like, there's nothing in canon thus far that has Mon Mothma involved at all in Resistance stuff, or even in the New Republic past a certain point. Though, yeah, it would have made sense to find some way to include her, but I can understand why they didn't after the groundwork they were already laying. And you never know, maybe the original actress didn't want to go. Didn't want to be part of it, just like Dennis Lawson didn't want to be part of it to reprise Wedge, which is kind of sucky. Throwing grenade!
The package is in the open. Stop it.
The package is in the open! Means you're going commando. The package is in the open. Or I guess in this case, if you're going Republic commando, because the package is in the open. What do we have here?
Secure
Meh.
the area around the package.
Still going for those assault kills. She'd be far too old. Yes, she would have been pretty odd. Dr. Ellie Sattler. Oh, you're talking about Laura Dern, Holdo. Holdo would have been a great character if she was even remotely like the character as she was introduced to us in Leia, Princess of Alderaan. She was nuts and hilarious and very Luna Lovegood-esque, and instead she has all that characterization completely sucked out of her to become a generic Leia wannabe in Last Jedi. I was very disappointed in the character. I wish they hadn't introduced her at all in Leia, Princess of Alderaan, so that all we got was the boring version of Holdo, because then at least I'd like her for what she was. But no, instead, we're given a version of Holdo that then doesn't hold up on screen at all, making it a huge disappointment. Survived Castaway? You mean like the movie? Oh. Survive on an island for 4 years. I imagine eventually if he was on an island, it depends. Is he on the island for 4 years before or after he connects to Rey? Because that then determines whether or not he's truly alone, or if she becomes like his Wilson.
Let's go.
And if he starts trying to make their connections during more opportune times, if you know what I mean. Hey, Ben. Whee! New Q&A should go up tonight. I just got it recorded and edited. I just need to proof view it and then upload it. The question collection thread for this month just went up a little bit ago.
The Resistance has picked up the package.
Now, who did he work for in Castaway? Was it UPS or FedEx? Because either way, I remember thinking, that's what happened to my package. I see dead people who don't know they're dead yet because I'm about to shoot them in the face. Ah, there you go. I didn't think I was going to be able to get him. I thought I was going to have to reload first. When did you realize that Lux was the mentor, and what was my reaction? Fairly early in the book, and I remember thinking, I hope they use him well. I was less surprised and more just like, I hope that he, that they give him some good development based on the way the character was before. And they did, relatively speaking.
Grenade out!
Nope, no bomb. Unless you're talking about the book sucking, in which case, maybe. But I don't think so. It's been getting 5-star reviews on Amazon so far, though I really need to start saying, hey, if you get one, please put up a review, because not everybody, in fact, most people don't put up reviews on Amazon for stuff they get.
The package is on the ground.
I just wonder what kind of stuff Tom Hanks would have found in those packages in real life, you know? Oh, look, it's legal papers sent by FedEx. That doesn't help me at all. Oh, look, it's some lady's Sex toy. That won't help me at all, but I'll put it aside for later just in case, says Tom Hanks, and so on. Go! Go!
The package has been taken. Stop them.
The package has been taken. Yeah. Yeah, it was actually pretty cool. I did the, I recorded with Brock from Star Wars Action News for their year in review on books and such, which I tend to do kind of as a tradition to get together with him and record that. And we had a chance to talk about it a little bit then on the show, and then it turns out that when they did their holiday buying guide, they included it in that too, which was kind of cool. I didn't even know it was on there. So it's getting some attention out there.
Blast! The Resistance has escaped with the
Favorite scene in Castaway? I honestly don't
disciplinary
remember
actions for this
Castaway
failure.
very much at all. Hard to say. And onward. Here we go. Oh, so to answer that question from the person earlier, 26 on the way to 27. Now we're coming out. 23 more assault kills to eventually get a new weapon unlocked, and 200 credits. Ooh, big 200 credits, big spender. That's as much as getting a common star card duplicate in a crate. Woo! They sure are giving us a lot of fancy schmancy stuff. 26, 25, and it just takes forever. Come on, let's do this. There we go. I haven't seen a lot of Tom. I mean, I guess I've seen quite a few Tom Hanks movies, but they don't stick in my mind much. He's never been someone whose movies I've really zoomed in on. Only one that really still stands out in my mind at all is Big. I think. You would think I'd be a big fan of Charlie Wilson's War because it's Aaron Sorkin, but it was alright. It wasn't great. How about able to put up with the hypocrisy of angry Star Wars fans over the years? Tune it out. You know? And try to find the intellectually honest take on whatever it is and present it. And hopefully some will see through the fog, and you know, the ones that are just lost in the fog, they're never gonna, may not ever come around. It's different than teaching. I had to get in my mind. It's different than teaching. You're not gonna, in teaching, you have to get your mind around the idea that you're not gonna save everyone. You're not gonna necessarily be able to reach every student, but you're sure as hell gonna try, and you will never stop doing so. Fandom isn't like that. There are some people who choose not to be reachable. Oh well, have fun in your hole, you know. There are some people who choose they choose ignorance. Okay, have fun with that. You know. That is true. I am seeing, I mean, I'm not seeing it as much with mine, but I know a lot of people have been saying kind of the same thing, that the Last Jedi has been about as divisive to Star Wars fans as the election was for the country in general, and I'm thinking that we're going to see that a lot. That seems to be becoming the norm. Nobody... As an intellectually interesting thing that I heard this morning, I was listening to Michael Smerconish's program, and if you have Sirius Satellite Radio or Sirius XM and are interested in politics and current goings on and don't listen to Michael Smerconish, you really should. The guy is a really good, balanced middle ground take on things, is very cordial about it, and yet very intellectually curious about things. But one of the things that he talked about on the show today, or that I think it was actually a caller who said it, was that you've got people generally today don't listen in order to hear what's being said or listen to digest and consider what someone else is saying. They're listening to hear just enough to be able to decide what their next response is going to be, and if it's a zinger, all the better. You know? That it's not about, hey, let me listen to your perspective, let's have a conversation and come to some conclusion, or hey, let's have a conversation in which maybe I can come up with new ideas, or maybe you and I can find a middle ground and maybe both learn something. It's, okay, so you just said this. What can I say that can either refute or otherwise give a big middle finger to you so that I feel good about myself and I feel like I just scored a point? And to do that, you're listening to maybe 10% of what is said rather than listening to all of it, because so much of your time is spent, what am I going to say next? And that's very true in American society right now, it seems like, by and large. And again, missed stuff. Yeah, it's about scoring points, you know. And those who are think of it this way. We're in an instant gratification culture, right? Everybody wants things now, right? We want our fast food now. We get pissed off if the fast food takes us more than about a minute at the drive-through window or at each part of the window. We want information now. It's at our fingertips. We don't want to have to go get anything. We want it all to show up at our door, etc. We want instant streaming of things. I don't want to have to go buy that movie. I want to be able to just jump on iTunes and get it. Well, if you're talking about a society in which a lot of our self-worth is being determined now by social media type circles, what is the easiest way to get a boost in your self-value relative to someone else? It's not to find a way to lift yourself up, it's to find a way to smash somebody else down. And then relatively speaking, there's a bigger gap and you're more above them than you thought you were in the first place. It's thinking of yourself as not a piece of shit by making others feel like they're pieces of shit. In the long run, that's unsustainable for a society, but it sure as heck is what we're tending to do. But yeah, so I mean, I try to stay as far away from that as possible. It's the same thing like with my students. You know, like when I was in a traditional classroom, there's a couple of mantras that we stuck to. Didn't mean to shoot you in the back, but you were there. So one of the things was, I invite you to try to guess my religion or to guess my political views. Because in the classroom, I would not make any statements in such a way or treat any topics in such a way that they should be able to tell what my perspective was. I would try to give multiple perspectives on each, particularly because we tended to study a lot of world religions like in the world history classes. And if I was doing my job, then at the end of the year, they'd be totally flummoxed and not be able to tell me what my religion or political views are, because I would have done a good job at presenting a balanced case. Whereas, I think that the other thing was that I would try to focus on was this is a safe place. That I don't give a crap what's going on outside my classroom's doors. That's not something we can control or that I can control. But when you're in my room, your opinion is welcome, your view is welcome, you and your type of person, whatever that is welcome. Just be respectful to others and give them that same welcome feeling. And a lot of students would sometimes refer to my classes as sort of the haven in the building, because they would still be bullied in other classes. They would still have people treating them like crap in other classes. They would have other teachers trying to push political or religious views down their throats by only acknowledging a particular perspective on that. In our room, it was different. But I think you really have to strive for something like that. And that's what I try to do in my fandom endeavors, is strive for that sort of thing and the intellectual honesty and so forth. But that takes a lot more work than just, bashing other people or tearing other people down to make yourself feel good. And I know that I was someone who back in the day, mixed in with the surge for hoping for intellectual honesty, I would rip the hell out of people who disagree. Like if somebody disagreed or if somebody was wrong on something, was actually factually wrong on something, instead of pointing it out, I would tear them to shreds on my early podcasts. My attitude on Beyond the Films, my attitude on the stream, my attitude in the videos you see on YouTube is markedly different than my attitude if you go back and you watch or you listen to Chrono Radio, my first podcast that ran from 2002 to 2007. It was a very, very different feel. And even before that, and you could feel that, you could see that change happening really throughout Chrono Radio. But before starting that, it was even more extreme, I would say. So, yeah, I mean, it's The Last Jedi is just The Last Jedi thing is sort of just like a symptom of the broader issue, you know. It's just that you'll find that the more passionate someone is about something, the more divisive something becomes, and the more extreme the opinions or the attacks on either side tend to get. And a lot of people are passionate about Star Wars, and that's great, but it also means that it's going to be one of those topics where it gets ugly, and it gets ugly fast. Okay. Whew.
We've got a situation at Alpha.
Oh! I'm not sure that, to be honest, I don't know that I actually recognized it that I needed to change so much as when I recognized later that I had changed. And I think part of it was just, you know, maturing myself. And that sort of thing. I don't know that it was a conscious choice at the time to do that. Let's see. Ever read or watch Watchmen, Any Cut, and Tales of the Black Freighter? Yes. Originally, I had watched the director's cut of Watchmen the one I tended to watch, but then I had the motion comic as well on Blu-ray, and then I had the Black Freighter on DVD. But recently, I was able to get the 4K release that included the Ultimate Cut, though I think the Ultimate Cut is only on Blu-ray in that set. I think the 4K copy is the director's cut, if I remember correctly. But yeah, we just watched that fairly recently, which is in the last few months, except my wife just really wasn't feeling Watchmen. It's not her type of superhero thing.
Together.
I like the Watchmen comic. I actually think that I've come to prefer the way that the film ends to the way that the comic ends, because it's in this age, so the nuclear thing that's such a through line of the film makes a lot more sense than the whole alien invasion thing. But I do wish that there was a version of it that had Under the Hood also weaved into it. I mean, if you're gonna do something that interweaves Black Freighter to make it closer to the comic experience, go the full 9 and take Under the Hood, which is on there as a documentary, split it up and put it in there the same way. But of course, they never did. I'm assuming they never filmed it, or like the way that they filmed it doesn't really lend itself to that. I haven't watched it in a long time. All right, see ya, Vita. Anybody? 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 I sang anybody, but my voice kept getting higher every time I said anybody. So in my head, I hear, can't anybody find me somebody to love? A song that I was introduced to through the George Michael and Queen version rather than the original Queen version. So now when I hear the original Queen version, I still feel like it's wrong and the George Michael version is right, which I'm sure is a sin amongst Queen fans. Interesting. I didn't realize it was aired on TV.
Throwing.
That would explain it having a Blu-ray release, though. I have no idea, because the only Sheldon I've ever seen is the young Sheldon from the Young Sheldon TV series, and yeah. But I mean, you never see Kylo assumed to be some type of master strategist. He's more emotionally driven than anything else. Hey! Stop throwing that shit in my face! That's what she said. Stop it! Ah! I'm not gonna be able to kill you, but I'm sure gonna be able to whittle your health down, you bastard.
We can do this.
No, we can't. We got 11 people. We're gonna. Oh no, it's 11 on the other side. Never mind. We might actually do it. Yes, I got the We got the Blu-ray DVD combo package thing for Get Out. Yeah, Get Out was actually quite good. I wonder if it would be as good on a second viewing once you know what it's all about. But the shock value and the political commentary aspect is really interesting. If you haven't watched the special features, watch the special features, because the interviews and about the social relevance and why he made the film the way that he did and that sort of thing is really interesting. I don't know how the heck I managed to actually get back up that hill after that thing went off, but I sure am glad I did.
This defeat will set us back days.
Yeah, First Order doesn't have a master schemer up at the top now. It's just a brute force and emotion guy. And it's not like the Empire lasted all that long anyway, right? I mean, the Empire lasted 23 years. 19... Let me jump out of it. Now, see, now it's saying next round starts in... Well, which is the round? Is the round the entire best 2 out of 3 thing? Or first 1 to 2 wins? Or is a round the piece inside it that's called a round? Well, apparently it's the whole thing, because that's how it's counting for the Last Jedi challenges. Hello, EK. Let's see. Lack of representation. Star Wars is much more representative now than it used to be. And I think my take on that was that the argument tends to be that Star Wars is doing diversity for the sake of diversity. My argument would be that more diversity in Star Wars is a good thing as long as it's fitting with the story, and there's nothing that says that you can't, for instance, have a gay character here or a black character, Asian character, whatever here in these roles, unless there's something about the story that makes it so that doesn't make sense. But more importantly, that in essence, in the past, you've seen some... it's almost like if you look back a few decades... That's okay, that daily one's done. I just need to do more of the don't get too cocky thing. Okay, so more strike, but that one at least is done. There was a time when we, in essence, sort of defined ourselves by characteristics or social class, perhaps, more than we did on things like race or sexual orientation. Now, that is how people tend to define themselves, or how we tend to divide people up into groups. So if the idea is that we want to make sure that everybody can sort of see some of themselves in Star Wars and feel like there's someone representing them in Star Wars, of course representation today is going to look different than representation in the 70s, 80s, 90s, or 2000s, because the way we look and define ourselves is becoming a different thing. So in that sense, it's just kind of carrying on the tradition of trying to be somewhat representative and more representative over time, but it's also, of course, it's going to have to change in the way that it does it. You had a lot of representation in terms of personality types in the original trilogy, but not much in terms of divisions by race or gender. But that's because you didn't really have society defining themselves quite that way in the late 70s, early 80s. It was more of a social class and a personalities thing, and, you know, us versus the communists, or us versus the evil empire, so to speak. Get into 2000s, and then you see it a little bit more. Now, we are so hung up on issues of sexual orientation and race and so forth that, of course, that's going to be where diversity is defined, or seeing different types of characters that represent you is defined, which is why you see that in Star Wars now. I don't see that necessarily as a net negative unless it's shoehorned in a way that doesn't fit the character or can't fit the character. And most Star Wars characters could be any race, any gender, any species and still have it work, you know? Let's see. And yes, Harv, actually, if you check the bottom, spoilers for Last Jedi are welcome. We've been discussing it a little bit on the stream, so welcome to join in the discussion. Feel free. Haven't seen Warhorse, I don't think. The name sounds familiar, but I don't recall ever having actually watched it. Ah! I was trying to use an ability, forgetting the fact that I was zapped to the point where I couldn't use an ability. Duh. All right, let's see if I can open up another Dr. K here, because my throat is starting to be a little scratchy. And Assault.
Ready to go.
And Assault is ready to go. So these Stormtroopers must be, the Stormtroopers, the 3 that just appeared on the screen are, I guess, Bill O'Reilly, Harvey Weinstein, and Matt Lauer. Is that basically what we've got here, then? Wonder which one I am.
Final arming sequence.
Welcome to Today! On NBC.
Alpha threat contained.
Name it town if you wish to opine, mother... Anyway. Let's see. Very cool. Alistair, yeah, I've seen it a few times now, so I feel like I've got enough of a grip on it that I was able to summarize it for the timeline, but I'm still eagerly awaiting the home video release. I want to see that sucker in 4K at home. Let's see. Favorite class? I tend to prefer the middle class. It's where I usually have been. Oh! Class on the game. Probably specialist now, actually. I initially started playing as heavy mostly, and tended to prefer that. Assault with the CR2 is actually pretty good. The officer, once you get the sniper-ish pistol, is decent, but I don't like his supporting abilities as much. Because they really are supporting. They aren't going to help you as much. So I think actually Specialist has now become my main class that I particularly like, because I do tend to play the more patient, long-range game in most shooters that I play. And you can't really play the other classes quite like that, even though you need to play them for the milestones.
They don't have the time.
Did they ever give any hints on how old Ben Solo was when Luke went to murder him? No, they did not. And we know that presumably it's got to be sometime after Bloodline, so it's sometime within the 6 years prior to The Force Awakens. But that's about all that we know at this point. And even that is conjecture because Leia hasn't been in contact with Luke for a while, but I think there's a point at which Luke does make contact by the end of the Aftermath book, so we know that contact is made, but in Bloodline, which happens so long later, I don't remember if there was a contact made. It could be that it had already happened, but Luke just hadn't let Leia know. But that seems a little weird. Like Leia should have felt it. So yeah, I'm assuming that that's the case, yeah. That it's got to be within those last 6 years. I have to probably post that thing again about the story should be seen on its own merits. I agree with that, I think, but I didn't see the entire comment. Live streaming a live stream? Interesting. So that kind of like whenever, like when they do the White House press conference and they do the YouTube live stream, or they do the live stream on like that plays the whole thing live on CNN, someone will then get that video and run it and stream it while it's live to sort of separate out the viewership so that the bandwidth isn't all hammering one stream, basically, one account. Didn't know that's... I wouldn't have been able to tell you that either. It's been so long ago that I wouldn't have remembered Lucas's tie into Land Before Time either. I was mostly out of the Power Rangers age. I watched some because it was on before I went to class. I watched up until basically Tommy became the White Ranger of the original generation of Power Rangers, and didn't watch anything since, except for the new movie. About to start the Thrawn trilogy. That is good. Thrawn trilogy is a really good trilogy for the Legends continuity. It was really sort of the ground floor of building up the Legends continuity, 91 through 93. Am I a teacher? Yes. Yes, I am. Yeah, but he probably wasn't on the stream at the time. Pre-ordering the First Order sleeve Blu-ray. Okay, yep. I need to actually get back to some people. So there are two guys right now in the UK who are helping me acquire UK copies of the films as they come out, and we're trying to figure out which ones each person's going to try to grab for me on that day, whether it's being donated or if me sending them money or whatever. But that'll be one of those things where hopefully I get it worked out before too long. But I want to make sure that they're all accounted for, and we still don't know if there's going to be a big sleeve edition yet. See, Unfriended hasn't seen, and again I missed the something or representation. I missed that one again because of the people commenting. See me in school before? Only if you either were in school at Creekside High School in Fairburn, Georgia up until the fall of 2014, or have taken a class with a social studies class with Fulton Virtual since January of 2015. Otherwise, no. Unless you maybe watch some of my YouTube videos. I have no idea what you're talking about, JL, because I guess I didn't watch it to that point. I don't remember. Then again, I don't remember that in detail. And yeah, the chat is moving way too fast for me to actually be able to read anything or reply. I'm trying to, but it also means my gameplay is going to completely suck because I've really got to pay attention to the chat or I'm going to miss stuff. It's just for good canon books besides Aftermath. Oh, besides Aftermath? Aftermath is not what I would call a good canon book. Aftermath is written like it's a middle schooler who doesn't understand grammatical structure. The second two of Aftermath get better, but my God, the first Aftermath, you really want to ask, like, I really want to take Chuck Wendig and say, here, you need to go through one of our online ELA courses because you don't understand punctuation.
What's the plan?
But anyway, Dino. Yeah, I would not have watched Dino Thunder. Remember, I was saying I was watching only the original up to when he first became the White Ranger. At school, like I said, it would have to be. If it was 2015, it would have to have been through Fulton Virtual, which is it's very possible. But you would have had to have been a student in Fulton County, Georgia. Taking one of the Edgenuity Social Studies courses, in which case you would have had probably me. Yeah, if it's 2015, probably me. Okay, so I got the first part of that, Texas. Or Russell. Never heard of it. I'm assuming it must be some big, elaborate set in order to be something that's hard to come by. Good suggestions for canon books. Bloodline, Lost Stars, Rebel Rising, Inferno Squad. I'd say those are the top ones right now, book-wise. Assuming you're talking canon as opposed to Legends, but you said canon like Aftermath, so I'm assuming we're talking just canon. Just canon. Or as the Catholics say, just canon plus the teachings of the church. Or as the Jehovah's Witnesses say, just canon plus the Watchtower, and so on. Starting assault in... See, now if Harvey Weinstein had a counter like this, the woman could get the hell out of the room while it's counting down because she would see that an assault was about to happen. You're a bad, bad man, Harvey. You go to hell. Sorry, referencing the old way that Dennis Miller used to talk about O.J. Simpson every time his name came up. Ah, okay, then yeah. Definitely not. And here we go again. This time on the Death Star. Best 2 out of 3. It's strike.
Resources on this station are limited. All assault teams recover the package and bring it to the extraction point.
Recover the package. Lorena Bobbitt has done her work. We must recover the package before it is too late to be sewn back on. Ah, gotcha. I mean, not that Harvey. Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein. Let's see.
Package in the open. Forge on that position.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I mean, looking at the, representation of a story or, say, the demographics of an author and stuff like that can be an interesting thing to look at, and it can be something that is a consideration to be taken into account. It just shouldn't be the top thing. I mean, stories should be tops. I mean, even when we reviewed the first Aftermath book, we dealt with all the grammatical stuff and all the social political bullshit that Chuck Wendig was doing at the time. We looked at all that separate and then looked at the story because we wanted to have all that crap out of the way and out of the picture before we talked about the story, because otherwise it wouldn't have been a fair appraisal of the story. It would have been colored by all those other things, Harvey Weinstein is, or was, a major Hollywood producer, part of the Weinstein Company, obviously, who has been found to have engaged in a lot of sexual harassment and sexual assault, casting couch type stuff over the years, who recently was sort of outed by his victims, and it sort of began an avalanche of breaking news kind of scandals in the United States of people committing sexual harassment and sexual assault. In some cases, actual sexual assault. In other cases, sexual harassment that's considered like unquestionably sexual harassment. But in other cases, sexual harassment in the sense of, you know, there was a point at which he told me my hair looked nice. I have been sexually harassed, and it's sort of causing the reevaluation of, well, what actually counts as sexual harassment? So it's a big media news point in the U.S. right now, hence the reference there. Most likely... missed it about this big sleeve. You might have to say that again. Yeah, pretty much. He's an asshat. He's a pretty bad dude. He's one of the worst you can get when it comes to that sort of thing. And the thing with him was the fact that it was just like they called it an open secret, right? Or a known secret in Hollywood, meaning it was supposedly a secret, but everybody actually knew and just kept quiet about all the stuff that he was doing. And nobody ever called him to task for it, because it was just the way it is. Well, now we finally got to the point where it's, oh, that's just the way it is actually not a good defense for something. Surprise, surprise, or wait, surprise, surprise, surprise. It actually turns out that when it comes down to it, you know, it's actually not a good thing to simply say that because something has always been the way that it was, that that's the way it should stay. You know, slavery being things like that, you know. Let's see. Now, the big sleeve edition, if I remember correctly, I could do that. It just takes a little bit longer to go into that mode, it seems like, when I'm in third person. I usually used to play in third person almost exclusively, but because I use so many sniper-esque zooms now, I tend to play in first because it's just less jarring. We can do third for a while. Yeah, so the big sleeve edition, I'm trying to remember, who were the ones that they came from for Force Awakens and Rogue One? Because I could have sworn that they were different outlets where you could get them for those two. And I haven't seen anything announced by Zavi yet, but Zavi just may not be the one that does it. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm kind of keep checking out Amazon.jp every so often because I really want to get the that nice movie next set if they do that again for Last Jedi like I did for The Force Awakens and Rogue One, because those are some pretty sweet box sets for each film. Let's see, Roseanne, yes, used to watch Roseanne a lot. I don't remember much beyond New Becky coming in, but the early stuff, yeah, quite a bit. It was sort of almost a required viewing in Evansville, Indiana, because the guy who or one of the co-creators of Roseanne was actually from our town and was kind of well known. I don't remember the guy's name anymore. Matt or Michael or Matthew something, or Mark maybe. Okay, see, yeah, so then there you go. So it could be from anywhere, it seems like. Not really caring about the new Roseanne, but I'm sure I'll probably check it out. I don't know that my wife is going to really want to watch it, so I don't know if I'll wind up watching it, because I got a bunch of stuff I'm trying to watch on my own to catch up on right now. And if she doesn't watch it when we're together watching it, then I won't wind up getting watched. Dead. Yeah, the guy from Big Bang Theory got his start, or as far as like big TV runs, on Roseanne as Darlene's boyfriend, who then moved in with them at one point. That was in fact where I recognized it from. On the one Big Bang Theory episode that I saw a part of, my initial reaction was, "Hey, it's the dude from Roseanne," as opposed to the other way around. Will Last Jedi have a 3D home release? In the UK, definitely. In the US, we don't know yet, but in the UK, Zavi's already got a pre-order up for a steelbook with the 3D edition. So unless they're blowing smoke, yeah, it'll have a 3D release, at least in the UK. This, by the way, I'm going to make this the last match for this stream, because I do need to get other stuff done, and we're almost at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Go, go, go! That would not be... They're an incompatible pair if they were going to have any kind of argument. She'd be going on emotion and shock value, and he'd be going on facts, I would assume, based on what I know from what little I know from young Sheldon. I don't get... That's one thing I haven't quite got. My wife likes watching Young Sheldon, but we have never watched any Big Bang Theory, or at least I haven't. Whatever.
We're a team.
Yeah. They run in kind of a... I mean, they run in a way that actually fits the... sort of the way that a person runs, except it's exaggerated a little bit. But what's interesting is you don't see it as much with this. You see it some. But there are some games where that is so pronounced that it makes it... You almost get motion sick from that movement. This game at least doesn't go to that extreme. Alright, let's see. Can I go around and go kill some of those guys out there? I don't think I can actually go around. I was probably gonna... Oh, 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 oh! Ah, coming around on you, suckers. Nope, can't do that. Oh, that's interesting. Huh, I'm pretty sure that's not the way it's supposed to work. It's supposed to either hit it because it's a force field, or hit it because it's a transparent steel or something, or it's supposed to be open to space and I go out and die. I should not be able to shoot through this. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. I have not seen Unfriended. 5 deaths remaining. Come on! Hey, Jordan. You're here before, right? On one of them.
Get over there.
If I remember correctly. Ah! Scream. Okay, so Scream, I guess, over there is Netflix. Over here, Scream is originally produced by MTV. And then eventually shows up once there are season releases, it shows up on Netflix. Which I actually like. I like the Scream films. 4th one, not so much. But we've really liked the Scream TV series. Unfortunately, the seasons are fairly short, but I guess that sort of works for the format of story they're trying to tell. Ah! Oh. We're in overtime. Will we be Georgia in overtime? Or not? And I wonder why this chair... I need to figure out what's going on with the chair. I feel like the chair has... It's let me down, so to speak, but I can't get it to straighten back up again like it's supposed to. So when I try to lean back like this, I'm hitting a point where it... Okay, no, now it's better. I maybe moved it maybe a centimeter at most, not even an inch, but apparently it was enough that I can lean back like that without it making a crunching feeling, because that's what was happening when I was leaning back. I'm thinking, now, so far there's only 2 seasons of it, right? As long as you're watching it on Netflix. Like, there haven't been... Like, I don't think MTV's aired a season 3 yet, far as I know. Alright. Let's see where we stand. In case you're wondering, I keep playing with the little switch to make sure I'm not accidentally muting myself. All the old Batman movies, that's good, I guess. Ooh, I'm close on one of them. I'll check that in the other screen. Yeah, I mean, it's all a matter of when something is licensed for. I mean, you have a license agreement that puts something on Netflix for a certain amount of time, and when that expires, they've got to remove it. If it's something they produce, they can hang on to it. But there's even some question to some degree about what's going to happen eventually to some of their Marvel Netflix series. But we'll see. I did finally get to a point where I said, screw it, and I ordered Season 3 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Season 2 of Agent Carter on Blu-ray from the UK since they were region-free discs, because waiting for those to come out here is just freaking ridiculous. ABC with its Marvel shows and Netflix with the Marvel shows take a long time, if they even ever put out things on home video anymore. So they want you to stream it or buy it digitally, and preferably from them. Which sucks, because I like to have them on physical disc if it's something like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where I want to be able to have it all and watch it all, even if I don't get every different version. I did not get E.T. in 4K, but that's because I'm not a big E.T. guy. Pedro, I am actually signing off, and if you want to do that in the future, It's just a matter of trying to join that particular gaming session that's running. More than welcome to try that if you like, but it's one of those things where I'm not adding people to a party during the course of the stream, because in order to do that, I have to go out of the game, and that means that the people in the stream see this weird like placeholder screen and crap like that. But yeah, so let's see. Yeah, Disney streaming, I mean, we'll see. I mean, they've got the infrastructure to some degree, but I don't know how long it's going to take for them to actually get that going. But makes you wonder if they're going to slowly drag that out so that it can be the Star Wars live-action series that kicks it off, kind of like they used... they sort of tried to use Star Trek Discovery almost like a soft relaunch for CBS All Access. It existed before. Most people didn't even know that it existed. So then, in essence, they tried to get people into it with Star Trek Discovery and presented it almost like it was the launch of a new service, even though it wasn't. You know? So, we'll see. Let's see. Let's check this. And I'm assuming it's probably in a bad way, so I'm sorry, Jordan. Sorry to hear that. All right, so I got 3 more of those to do. I'll probably do that tonight off stream, so that'll knock out that one. Still working on the 150 soldiers, but I'm at least more than halfway. I haven't been playing a whole lot recently. And what was the other one? I guess it's under troopers. 500 assault kills. I just need 9 more, so I'll probably knock that out when doing the same thing. And then I guess I'll start focusing on other class kills and particular weapon kills after that, because otherwise it's all pretty much hero stuff, or it's hero starfighter stuff, or that really annoying one here where you have to destroy 25 hero ships with the fighter ship class, which is really a pain in the butt to do 25 flippin' times. I haven't really focused on it, but now that I tried 1 or 2 matches focusing on it, it is kind of a pain in the butt. I will go ahead and grab a crate, though, while we're on stream, because people are always curious what comes in these things. So let's see. Come on, baby, daddy needs something blue. No! We're at 5 with the green again, but at least it's 5, I guess. Ooh, something new. Amazing. Duplicate, as expected. Duplicate, as expected. I expect another duplicate and crafting parts. Oh, no, something new, and it's a green new. It's an uncommon new. Tuned lasers for Tally, who really got a crappy rap. Why make Tally the character who's going to be in here, except for the fact that you can just reskin an X-Wing? Why make it Tally that's the new hero ship for the Season of the Last Jedi stuff when Tally gets blown up in the freaking hangar and never really gets to do much of anything in the actual movie? But I digress, as usual. And apparently I unlocked new slots for Tally, apparently, because of having several things for her already. Let me see. Yep, I can now give her... Why not just give her that one that I just got? Primary weapon damage, that's good. I did, by the way, in case you didn't catch the last stream, I did finally trick out my fighter the way that I wanted to. For the most part. Reinforced hull I put up to epic, and then cranked up tuned lasers to epic, and now I just need to do that eventually for advanced torpedoes, and that'll pretty much be the way that I want the fighter to be as I'm going in for the last of those fighter milestones. It's the only one that I really have invested a lot of crafting parts into, otherwise not so much. All right, so here's the way it's looking right now. I have meetings coming up tomorrow. I have meetings coming up on Friday. Those meetings don't take too long, so I may wind up being able to fit in some streaming in the evening. I'm not really sure. Saturday or Sunday, or maybe both. I expect to probably do at least some streaming. Probably more likely Saturday than Sunday. My wife's trip gets over with, and she gets back on Sunday. So I have an unusually open schedule to be able to do streaming when I'm not at work or not doing meetings and such, but I'm not sure of times yet. But assume that we're probably talking late afternoon, early evening, kind of like tonight, if it were to happen tomorrow or Friday, and then it could be any time of day on Saturday, probably more afternoon likely than any other time. So Thank you all. Again, the quick spiel. This is my YouTube channel. I am Nathan P. Butler. You can find From the Star Wars Home Video Library here, Fantasy Flight Games reviews here, my vlog, The Voice of Reason or Lack Thereof, lots of stuff like that on this channel. You can also find the podcasts I'm involved with, Star Wars Beyond the Films with Mark Herleman and Cloud City Casino with Michael Morris, both at StarWarsReport.com. You can find my book, A Saga on Home Video, A Fan's Guide to U.S. Star Wars Home Video Releases on Amazon right now. You can find my timeline, the Star Wars Timeline Gold, the most comprehensive Star Wars chronology available anywhere over at StarWarsFanWorks.com/timeline at this point. Lots and lots of places to find me. And you can find my Patreon if you want to help support the projects over at patreon.com/Nathan P. Butler. Support the projects, get some exclusive content. Good deal for everybody. So, thank you for watching. I appreciate you all who's been sticking in the chat, especially those who popped in early and have been here the entire time. Very cool. Always makes for a fun experience. And hopefully I will see you again in the near future for another Battlefront 2 live stream podcast stream. Thanks, everybody.